Welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. I'm your host, Rosh Sillars. It is great to have you here. In this video podcast, we are talking about your broken marketing. What is broken in your marketing? We're going to talk about search engine optimization. We're going to talk about pay-per-click. We're going to talk about social media in your story, among other things. Why you? These are things you need to understand to help fix your marketing. And I have specific things in those areas, those subject matters that we're going to get into, and that will help you improve your marketing as a whole. If you have something that's broke, something's not working, there are a few things, some tricks, some tips, some strategies that we can put into play to maybe improve what you are doing. And so this is a pretty open conversation. And if you have questions, put them in the comments below if you're catching me on the replay. And of course, it's always great to have everyone here. And it's 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that is when I'm going live. I kind of switched the time from noon Eastern Standard Time. I have switched it from noon to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time because it just seemed to have more. I had more opportunity to connect with people later in the day, kind of like I have during my pop-up live shows during the week. I seem to have more going on when I kind of flip the switch later in the afternoon. So let's talk first about broken SEO and what are some of the things to look for. Sometimes when your rankings just fall off a cliff, sometimes it is something related to Google. Sometimes it's maybe something you have done. It's not that uncommon that if maybe you get a few new links to your site, maybe something has happened, maybe you develop them on your own, and you start to see your SEO go crazy. The numbers go up and down, up and down. Sometimes that's a result of Google just trying to say, hey, just making sure this is real, this is legitimate. And if there's an opportunity for you to say, get scared and undo what you did, that's your opportunity. And so that is sometimes what happens. Sometimes if your keywords are not in your description that are related to your website, that can show up in terms of Google deciding what the description will be, and that you can end up landing in different places in the search results. So it's important to have the keywords that you're really trying to develop in the description. So your SEO from this point on, quite honestly, when you're trying to develop your SEO, think of it as a theme. You can have various themes within, say, a blog or a website, pages, but ultimately you're trying to answer questions. And I just created a video earlier today, actually, that will be released on Tuesday. So check that out. And also remember, there's some videos recommended for you at the end of this video. So definitely check those ones out. But I'm not going to give you the full details, but year over year, there's been a 65% increase in a phrase that people have been saying. And that can directly help your search engine optimization. But I'm gonna save that for tomorrow's video. But think of it this way, though. Think of what people are actually now saying to Siri. What are people saying to Google Home or even Alexa? And you should be providing that answer. And that is going to increase over time. It used to be people would type in a search box. Well, now these questions are getting more complex and even more personal. And having the answers related to your product and service in maybe even a more personal way, you very well may find some benefit from that more and more as we move forward. But one thing I do know is if you provide good, robust information for people's questions, you are going to have a better chance of being found in the search engines. So it's important to look at what is ranking. And here's the thing. It is different for every single query. It's different for every product. It's different for every service. And it's different in different parts of the world. It's different in different cities. I mean, everything is different. So you can't just say, oh, my friends who are using a certain type of technique in their SEO, well, I'm going to use that technique because that's working for them. That's not necessarily the case. You really do need to look at the keywords that you are trying to rank for and seeing what Google is actually doing and what they're presenting as the solution. And as you understand that, as you see how long are those articles, how many photographs are they using, what videos are they using, what is it, the headlines. Now, you don't want to copy those things, but you do want to improve them. And so if you consider that, you're going to be on your way to solving that SEO problem and that broken SEO, because you are on the right track in writing multiple articles that are related and linked together. All that can have huge benefit to your pages. Now, you don't want to split things up too finely, but you do want to take on each question individually with an individual page or individual blog post. Each one of those things will be beneficial to you. Okay, broken pay-per-click. So pay-per-click is, there are two areas of pay-per-click. There's search engine marketing, and that's using Google AdWords to be found in the search results, or even Bing, or however we go about it. But there's also something else, and that is display, and that's more like Facebook. And that is also Google Display Ads. And to fix those, there are two different approaches to fixing each one of those areas. And so I would suggest that when it comes to search engine marketing, make sure you look at your ads, make sure you look at the landing page, and make sure that those keywords in the middle are connecting those two worlds and it's seamless all the way through. So your ads totally relate to the landing page. In other words, when someone types something in Google and they see an ad, when they go to that landing page, they're going to see exactly what they're looking for. Not 12 different options, and in one of the options that they're looking for happen to be there. No, that's broken. That's going to get somebody upset and confused. If you ever say in pay-per-click advertising, they oughta, thinking they'll figure it out, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You really do need to make sure that everything is streamlined, and you keep testing ads. And I would say test 2 or 3 ads, usually 2 ads. Now, when it comes to the display advertising, such as Facebook and display with Google and others, it really does come down to audiences. Yes, you need those ads that equal the landing page, but as much as playing with anything, yes, it's kind of like the keywords. The keywords are that middleman in search engine marketing. However, when it's display ads, it's the audiences, and continuously testing audiences to find the right audience for your ad to the landing page, and continuously playing with that until you find the right combination. And you're not necessarily going to find that right combination immediately. When you're trying to fix your marketing, you have to test a lot and try different things. And I have found that sometimes it's a year later when you find the right combination. A lot of it has to do with how quickly you get the data you need to make your decision. So if you have a lower budget, it's going to take a lot longer to actually get the information you need to make a good decision about which ads are best, which keywords are best, which landing pages are best for your funnel and getting conversions. So you need time. And even with some clients that have regular, good, solid budgets month after month, again, sometimes it's just the turn of a phrase that we discover or think of a year later that makes all the difference in the world, and it changes the whole mindset about how we're approaching our ads to customer. But it really comes down to the more you understand your customer's problem and that your ad is offering the opportunity to solve that problem, and that the keyword or the audience in between that ad and the landing page is correct. And then when they go to that landing page, they're going to find the solution they're looking for and not 12 other things, as I mentioned. It really does need to be focused and never stop testing. You may have a great funnel going, but the thing is, it all changes. The algorithms change, people change, fads change, society change. Everything's always changing, and the way people look at things change. So you have to continuously, the seasons change. You have to continuously make adjustments to keep on top of it. Search engine marketing or pay-per-click marketing is not a set it and forget it kind of system. Okay, broken social media. That's a big one for a lot of people, and sometimes the number one thing I have found to fix broken social media. First of all, number one, I think it's, I've mentioned many times before, the more you do, the better. The more is better, to the point in which quality falls off. So blog posts and so forth, the more the better. But when you can't be consistent or quality falls off, you need to step back. And that's the same with all social. But the other part of it is all the automation, all the, just automate everything and people are going to come flocking to you. And that's ridiculous. It's about relationships. And the more you put the time to develop the relationships, the better luck you're going to have with social media. That's going to build the real relationships. I mean, a lot of times everybody thinks, oh, I'm just going to post this and everybody's going to love it. But if you're not loving their stuff too, if you're not taking the time to say, hey, I like what you're doing, they're never just going to come wandering over just because you are you. I mean, again, it's like going to a networking event. I've used this example a million times. Going to a networking event, handing out a bunch of cards and leaving. Is it possible somebody actually needed you in that time with that card? Yes, it is. But most of the time, they just leave and forget who you are because they never bonded with you or had a real conversation with you. And your card ends up in the bottom drawer with the rest of the cards and isn't singled out as somebody they want to follow up with, unless they're trying to sell you something, of course. And so that's the same thing with social. You need to stay there. You're better off, rather than handing out all those cards, you're better off making a few good connections, people that you could actually follow up with, and they would take your phone call because you had a great conversation, and you feel that you can do some business together or you can partner together going after the same target market. Those kinds of things work 10 times better than just trying to sell everyone as you get there. Okay, so we've gone through broken SEO. We've gone through broken pay-per-click. We've gone through broken social. But sometimes there are basic things that people, have not really thought of in the first place. There are a lot of people who are really good at creating things. Engineers, for example, are excellent. They create something, they invent something, but then they think it's all about them. And they think everybody's going to, just kind of like the social media conversation, want to flock to them. But they don't understand, you are providing a solution, but they don't really understand the problem of the customer at the level they should, or how the emotional element of how their solution solves a problem. They know they've invented something cool and that they have solved a problem, unless it was their own personal problem. And that's how a lot of inventions, quite honestly, are invented, is because someone's out to solve an issue. But understanding that you need to understand the passion of why somebody needs that problem solved. You need to have a story related to your, just kind of going back to it. If you had a problem and you solved that problem, here's the product. There's the story. But a lot of times people overlook that. They don't realize that is a big part of developing that emotional attachment with the customer and the empathy. Say, look, I get it. I understand your problem, and here's the solution that's going to help you. Understanding that and developing marketing around that versus like, hey, we're the best and here's 10% off. I mean, that just doesn't work anymore. You can't, even on the testimonial side, Even on the service side, if you've watched many of my shows, you know service just is. Service is what you do, and it can't be your number one promotional tool, such as the guarantee or the warranty. That can be there, and it's a support, but you don't lead with that unless it's some kind of revolutionary thing that we think about. And we talk about the combination code too, and understanding that with the story. One of the things that we talk about a lot, of course, is awareness, traffic conversions, and retention, and understanding how you can apply that to broken SEO, broken pay-per-click, and social. In other words, understanding what part of those elements fit in developing awareness or driving traffic, improving your conversions, or retention. I think that social media, I like social media so much because it actually applies to all four of those areas. You can develop awareness of who you are with social media. You can drive traffic to your website. You can improve conversions. How do you do that? Well, who do you buy from? Someone you know, someone that you trust, someone that you like. And if you're building relationships with the community, you've softened the ground, and it's a lot easier for people to say yes to you because they feel like they know you a little bit better than your competition. And then retention, of course, the same thing on social media. It's a great customer service platform. If you hear somebody complaining, or if somebody does complain, especially in early social, I'd meet with people and they say, well, I don't want to open up a Facebook page or whatever platform we were speaking of, or a blog, because if people leave a negative comment there, that's going to be horrible. People are going to see that. And I'd often have to explain, yeah, but they're going to say it anyway. They're going to have that conversation, and they may just go to another forum somewhere else that you don't even know is out there. And if they do that, you're not in control of the conversation. You may not even have an opportunity to reply or say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Here's a phone number to call, or we'll call you, or we'll check into that issue, whatever it may be, and show that you actually care. And if you're hosting the conversation, that's why you have the blog or the Facebook page, so you can host that conversation. And if somebody comes back and says, I don't care what you do, you're just horrible, 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 give them one more shot, say something nice. And then if they just say something horrible again, now you just let it go. You've just shown that this was an unreasonable person. And so that works out pretty well. Reasonable people will probably say, okay, I plan on calling, and I want to talk to your manager, and there you go. But if they're just unreasonable and you leave them last with the unreasonableness last, that tends to work. But try to take people offline after 2 or 3 comments, and that works out well. So there it is: awareness, traffic conversions, and retention. And again, retention can just be being top of mind, people seeing you through their news feeds and so forth. So I think when you're trying to fix broken marketing, one of the things you just need to keep asking yourself is why? Why you? Why my company? Why does somebody want to use my product or service? And then you answer the question, you ask why again. And you keep asking why, and you drill down as deep as you can. You're going to come up with some really interesting insights when you start doing that. Because a lot of times we start off by answering those questions with things we think we need to say. And quite often those things we think we need to say are what everybody else is saying. So you're not cutting through the noise. And that's why service and guarantees and warranties don't work. 10% off does not work. That's not that's not where you need to go to separate yourself from the competition. You need to find something else and look at things in a unique way. So if you want to really improve your marketing at a really high level, one of the things that I recommend is to start thinking about extremes. What are some extremes that you can take on? Combined, we get to the combination code, combining 2 different things. So what's an extreme? Well, think about your product or your service. What is the extreme of what you do? Meaning, I like to use Amazon because it's a great example, because that's what they're trying to do continuously every day. What's the extreme thing we do? Someone pushes a button and next thing you know, a drone is on their front porch with their package. In other words, extreme speed, extreme, just the process, extreme quality, extreme, whatever it may be, extreme service. And that's fine, again, but you just show that extreme service. And when you have extremely good service, you don't have to say a thing to anyone because other people will start talking about it. That's the idea. So combining different things, looking for things that other people are doing within other industries and combine that with your business. And that can help you separate yourself from the competition. And so when you combine new designs, new philosophies, new processes, all these different things that maybe other people have not thought of. Sometimes you just need to sit down with a notebook and just start writing out ideas. And that truly will, I've come up with some of my best ideas by just starting to write and write more ideas, and even asking that why question and start combining and asking myself, what's the extreme? What could I do in my business that's an absolute extreme, that's truly impossible? And trust me, it may be impossible, but I often did that with my photography marketing. I would look for the latest technology and how I could apply that. It used to be for me to get a good photograph on my computer, I had to take my negatives, and they had these super high definition screens that they would then take a photograph of. So we could print them on cards, like I could make photo prints of, so they could create a negative. That's what it was. And I may be messing up the process of what I was trying to do, but ultimately I was trying to create a photo card, a 4x6 photo card. We're talking mid-90s. And so being able to do that and to digitize it, that was something else. But I was always trying to figure out the next thing, because I always wanted to be able to print these photo cards so I could hand out to people to really show them what I was doing. So thinking about that, what is the newest technology and how maybe you can apply it? And what might be the extreme result? It doesn't matter if you can do it right now, but if you're thinking about it, you can start putting yourself in better position in that direction. You're going to be better off than most, especially when the technology actually maybe becomes more accessible. Just like any kind of technology in the beginning, quite often is very expensive. I mean, look at those big screen TVs that are huge. I remember when I bought one for my studio, and I was even showing AdWords at the time and what we're doing with that. We had this big screen, and that screen to hook up with my computer was a 37-inch screen, and it cost $2,000 to get that HDMI cable connected to it back and forth. And this is, mid 2000s. Today, oh my gosh, people give them away as door prizes. I mean, it's amazing how that technology. So you don't always have to be the first person there, but thinking about how you can use that technology and take it as far as maybe your budget or your ideas, or you think your workflow or what your process will take you. Take it as far as you possibly can, and you'll be a little bit further than the competition. And then when that technology continues to grow, and quite honestly, sometimes, when you put a lot of money down on technology early on, maybe that technology fades. It wasn't the right choice right now. There's another technology that came around that replaced it, which was better. That's why I'm usually not the first to the game, but I'm watching, I'm playing the best I can, getting that imagination going and dabbling where I can. And that's been very beneficial. So you don't necessarily, and sometimes, quite honestly, when we think we're late to the game, the party's just getting started. We think, oh, people have been doing this for a year, but you know what? Still, most people don't even know about it. I mean, think about it. How many people are still thinking about social media? How many people are thinking of updating their 1999 website? It was hard enough to get them to do the website then, and okay, I have one. or even marketing with their website. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, there are many businesses don't even have websites. They don't think I need a website. And then they're wondering, and I'm facing a lot of them these days. A lot of people say, well, we never had a website, or we just put one up. My cousin put one up, in 2003, just because we knew we had to have one. But now, all those, relationships that I built 30 years ago are gone, and we actually have to market our business now. Yeah, it happens all the time, because a lot of times when people say, oh, I just have word of mouth. Well, that word of mouth is an excellent marketing strategy, but that can break too. Or networking. A lot of times we say word of mouth, they're saying, well, I have like 4 or 5, 6 great partners that as I started my business, they started working with me, and we started passing the referrals together. We grew our business together. We've been so successful. And then, over time, gradually, they started to retire. The people started to retire, or the businesses closed. The next thing you know, there's only 2 or 3, and now there's only 1 or 2 or no people referring anymore, because they never continued the process with the same energy that they did when they first started their business in the first few years. And I see a lot of that in well-established family businesses. And so the younger generation comes in and they're like, okay, where do we get the business? Well, that was, you remember my friend Joe? He's passed, or Jim is retired, Sally. So the thing is, now the kids come in and like, now what do we do? And so they have to start over, almost like a startup, to grow the business. So if a business is just getting into the game and they've been around 20 years and just using referrals or old system of marketing, and now you really have to take it as a startup and look at the business as a startup and take a good hard look at how you can enter the game by thinking about the customer in a way that you never thought about that customer before, and how you can use the tools that you have, but also combine something new to separate yourself from the competition, to be relevant again in some cases. So there's a lot of ways to consider your broken marketing. And a lot of times it truly is just, I would say that one of the number one things truly is sit down and just write out who you are, ask those questions why, and start to just dig deep and start to think about them, the customer, and why you. And if you're obsolete, if the company is obsolete, well, how can you make it valuable again in the marketplace? And there probably are ways, and sometimes there is a big shift that needs to be had. But I certainly am part of the crowd that believes everything is marketing, everything you do, everything that the customer in the world possibly see, from your billing to your business cards to your voicemail, everything is marketing. The people that are working with you, and that all develops into your brand and your reputation. So you need to look at all those aspects and see what you can do. I'm going to wrap up. Any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And of course, those of you who catch this on the replay, please put your questions in the comments. Let me know, what is it that you are having most trouble with? Are you having most trouble with developing awareness for your company, or driving traffic to your website? Are you just not selling and those conversions not happening? Or maybe you're getting customers, but they're leaving quickly, and that's a retention problem. Which one of those areas are you having the most issues with? And that's what we need to address in the broken marketing question. So thank you, everyone. I will be back here 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Monday next week, and we will connect once again, talk about marketing related issues and marketing strategies, the combination code, channel building. It's all, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. This is your place, your community, and the more questions I get, the better I can serve you, quite honestly, because that's how your questions are the ones that quite often the questions that other people have and tend to be the best videos. So you have a great day. We'll talk to you next Monday.